Ever feel like you're kind of, swimming upstream against your own biology?
Like you're stuck with certain traits, behaviors, maybe even health issues because, hey, it's in your genes.
Right.
Well, get ready to ditch that idea because today's deep dive is about to rewrite your understanding of what you can control.
Yeah.
We're diving into the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, a stem cell biologist who throws that old genes or destiny theory right out the window.
And believe me, when Dr. Lipton, with his background in traditional genetics, started rocking the boat, people in the scientific community definitely took notice.
So what made Lipton start questioning everything he thought he knew about genes? It all started with his groundbreaking research on stem cells.
What Lipton did is truly fascinating. He took genetically identical stem cells, think of them like the cellular equivalent of identical twins, and he put them in different environments.
It's like taking those twins and raising one in a bustling city and the other in a peaceful forest.
Exactly.
Same DNA, totally different upbringings.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. Those genetically identical cells developed into completely different cell types.
Wow.
Some became muscle cells, others bone, and some even turned into fat cells. Just imagine if those identical twins we talked about grew up to be completely different because of where they lived.
So what you're saying is our environment, our experiences, all those things we can control might have a bigger say in who we become than our genes alone.
Yes.
Now that's empowering.
Yeah.
And this isn't just some abstract science experiment, right? This directly applies to things like cancer.
You're spot on. Think about it. We've been conditioned to believe that cancer is all about bad genes. But Lipton's research throws a wrench in that theory.
You mean it's not as simple as inheriting a gene and being doomed?
Not at all. For example, take the BRCA gene, which is often linked to breast cancer. Did you know that 50% of women who carry this gene never actually develop breast cancer?
Really?
Clearly, there's something more at play here.
It's like finding out your car has four-wheel drive after you spent years, painstakingly pushing it out of the snowdrifts.
Right.
So if genes aren't the be-all and end-all of our health destiny, what is?
That's where this exciting field of epigenetics comes in. It literally means above the genes. And it's completely changing how we understand the relationship between our genes and our environment.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So are you saying our genes aren't necessarily our destiny, but more like a starting point?
Precisely. Think of your DNA as a vast library full of books, those books being your genes. Now imagine each book has a sleeve covering it. This sleeve represents what we call epigenetic markers.
So the books, our genes, are always there, but these sleeves, these markers, are what determine which genes get read or expressed.
Exactly. And what controls these sleeves, you ask?
Mm-hmm.
You guessed it. Environmental signals.
Oh, wow.
These signals could be anything from your diet and exercise habits to your stress levels and even, yes, your thoughts and beliefs.
Hold on. Are we saying our thoughts can actually influence our genes?
Yeah.
That sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. But before we dive into that, how does this whole epigenetics thing actually work in real life?
There's fascinating research on identical twins who share the same DNA. Studies have shown that even though they're genetically identical, they can develop differently based on their lifestyles and experiences.
And I remember reading about Dr. Dean Ornish's research where he showed that lifestyle changes, things like diet, exercise, and stress management, could actually change gene expression in men with prostate cancer.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like literally rewiring your biology through the choices you make.
It really highlights this incredible power we have to influence our health and well-being far beyond what we once thought possible.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, challenging the idea of genetic determinism, exploring the power of epigenetics, and even hinting at the role our thoughts play in all of this.
And believe it or not, to truly grasp the profound connection between our minds and our biology, we need to venture into the seemingly unrelated world of quantum physics.
Quantum physics. On a deep dive about genes and health.
I know.
I am getting this buckle up, we're going off-roading feeling, and I am here for it.
Trust me, it's going to be an eye-opening ride.
All right, so before the break, we were teetering on the edge of quantum physics.
Which sounds a bit like where science fiction meets actual science.
It really is a mind-bending field.
Okay.
But it holds some really key insights into how our thoughts and beliefs can actually influence our physical reality.
Right.
Which is what we're exploring here.
Okay, so for those of us who consider, rearranging our sock drawer a major foray into physics.
Can you give us the crash course on quantum physics and why it matters in this conversation?
Absolutely. At its core, quantum physics studies energy at the subatomic level. And one of the most incredible findings is that matter, the very stuff we're all made of,
It's actually influenced by invisible fields of energy.
invisible energy fields.
Yeah.
Okay, that does sound a bit out there.
Right.
Can you give us like a real-world example to help us wrap our heads around this?
Imagine a magnet. You can't see the magnetic field itself, right?
Right.
But sprinkle some iron filings around it and you'll see them arrange themselves in a pattern
Yeah.
following those invisible lines of force.
Okay, I can visualize that.
Yeah.
So are you saying our thoughts are like those magnets?
And they have
Well,
the power to influence the, iron filings of our bodies.
that's a great way to put it. Quantum physics suggests that our thoughts, beliefs, and even emotions generate energy fields that interact with the world around us.
Including our own bodies. It challenges the idea that consciousness is just some passive byproduct of our brains.
So we're not just these solid beings walking around, we're also like vibrating energy fields,
Yeah.
constantly interacting with everything around us. If I'm understanding this right,
You are.
what we're really talking about is the power of the mind to influence matter.
Exactly. And this is where we bridge the gap between quantum physics.
And those epigenetic changes we were talking about earlier.
So it's not just our genes dictating our health destiny.
Right.
It's also this constant interplay between our thoughts, beliefs, and the environment that's influencing how our genes express themselves. Mind-blowing, but how does it actually work?
How do my thoughts literally get translated into physical changes in my body?
That's the million-dollar question, and it brings us to the incredible world of cells.
Okay, back to biology. So you're talking about those cell membranes we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
The outer layer of the cell that acts like a gatekeeper.
Precisely. You see, the cell membrane is much more than a passive barrier,
It's like a sophisticated computer chip.
constantly receiving signals from the environment and translating those signals into biological responses,
So our cells are like mini computers.
processing information and making decisions. What are those signals?
And how do they influence our cells?
These signals can be anything from nutrients and hormones.
To toxins and stress factors.
Yeah.
Think of the cell membrane as having these tiny receptors
Okay.
that act like antennas, each tuned to a specific frequency.
So if the cell receives a signal, it recognizes, say, a happy hormone like serotonin. What happens?
That serotonin molecule docks onto its matching receptor on the cell membrane.
Like a key fitting into a lock, and boom!
It triggers a cascade of biochemical reactions inside the cell.
And that cascade of reactions, that's what ultimately influences how the cell behaves.
Exactly.
Whether it thrives, divides, or even self-destructs.
Exactly.
Wow.
And here's the truly fascinating part.
Okay.
The cell membrane doesn't just respond to physical signals.
Okay.
It also responds to energy.
Hold on. You're saying that our cells are eavesdropping on our thoughts and beliefs.
In a way, yes.
Remember those energy fields generated by our thoughts and emotions?
Boy.
Well, the cell membrane is incredibly sensitive to those subtle energy fields.
Really?
It's like having a built-in antenna tuned to the frequency of our thoughts.
Okay, this is where I have to pause and process this, because if I'm understanding you correctly,
What you're saying is that our thoughts, whether positive or negative,
Yeah.
are essentially sending out signals that our cells are picking up and responding to.
Yeah.
Am I getting that right?
you're getting it. Your perceptions, your interpretations of the world, your beliefs, they're all being translated into a language that your cells understand.
So if I'm constantly bombarded with negative news, if I'm telling myself I'm not good enough,
Right.
if I'm living in a state of stress and overwhelm, my cells are picking up on that and reacting accordingly.
Yes.
And on the flip side, if I'm cultivating positive thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, my cells are responding to those signals as well.
Precisely. Your perceptions are literally shaping your biological reality.
Wow.
And this is where things get even more interesting as we delve into the powerful realm of the subconscious mind.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were uncovering this mind-blowing connection, between our thoughts.
Beliefs and those incredible cells that make up our body.
Yeah.
It's like realizing we have this internal communication network we never even knew existed.
And just like any communication network,
Uh-huh.
there can be interference, outdated software, maybe even some old recordings playing on repeat that are no longer serving us.
You're talking about the subconscious mind, right?
Exactly.
That often misunderstood part of ourselves that seems to be like running the show behind the scenes.
What role does the subconscious play in all of this?
Think of it this way. You have two minds, the conscious and the subconscious.
Okay.
Your conscious mind is like the captain of the ship, making decisions, setting goals. It's the part of you that's choosing to listen to this deep dive right now.
eager to learn and grow,
And that's definitely me today, Captain Curious over here.
ready to chart a new course.
There you go.
So, where does the subconscious fit into this nautical metaphor?
The subconscious is like the crew below deck, carrying out the orders,
Okay.
often without the captain even being aware of the details. It's running on programs, habits.
And beliefs that were mostly downloaded in early childhood.
Okay, so if our parents were constantly stressed or we witnessed a lot of conflict growing up,
Right.
that could be like installing some faulty wiring in our subconscious operating system. Yeah.
Exactly. Children are like sponges, absorbing everything around them.
Right.
And before they develop critical thinking skills, they often internalize these early experiences as truths about themselves and the world.
Yeah.
Those truths then become part of their subconscious programming.
So even if, as adults, we consciously know those old beliefs aren't serving us,
Right.
the subconscious is still down there diligently following those outdated maps.
Precisely. It's like that old GPS unit that keeps trying to take you on a detour, even though you know the new route.
Right.
And as we've been discussing, these subconscious programs aren't just influencing our thoughts and emotions, they're
Yeah.
affecting ourselves at a biological level.
So if we really want to create lasting change in our lives,
Right.
if we want to optimize our health and well-being,
Yes.
we need to learn how to, rewrite those subconscious programs.
Yes.
But how do we even access the subconscious? It's not like we can just reason with it or tell it to update its software.
You're right. It takes a different approach.
Okay.
Lipton talks about a few powerful ways to reprogram the subconscious mind.
Okay, give us the inside scoop. How do we become the programmers of our own minds?
One powerful technique involves tapping into those theta brainwave states we discussed earlier.
The ones we experience in deep relaxation or just before falling asleep?
Exactly. In those states, the conscious mind relaxes its grip.
And the subconscious becomes more receptive to suggestion.
So instead of counting sheep, I could be
Absolutely.
giving my subconscious empowering messages.
Exactly. Listening to affirmations or guided meditations as you drift off to sleep can be a powerful way to plant new seeds in the fertile ground of your subconscious.
Okay, that one's going straight into my self-care toolkit.
What else can we do to kind of update those subconscious programs?
Remember the old adage, practice makes perfect.
Makes sense. The more we do something, the more automatic it becomes.
It's the same with our thoughts and beliefs. If you're constantly telling yourself you're not good enough,
Your subconscious will believe it. But if you make a conscious effort to repeat positive affirmations,
over time, your subconscious will start to adopt those new beliefs as its own.
so it's about creating new neural pathways, new grooves in the record,
Yeah,
by consciously choosing the thoughts we want to reinforce.
precisely. And another powerful tool is visualization.
Okay.
See, the subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined.
So if I vividly imagine myself achieving a goal, feeling healthy and vibrant,
Yes,
my subconscious is taking notes and adjusting its programming accordingly,
exactly. It's like creating a movie in your mind.
complete with sights, sounds, and emotions. And the more you watch that movie, the more your subconscious believes it to be true.
This is incredibly empowering. We really do have more control over our biology, our health, and our
Yeah.
lives than we've ever been taught.
It's about stepping into our power as conscious creators.
Yeah,
And remember, this is a journey, not a destination.
I love that.
So no need to judge ourselves for those old negative thoughts or limiting beliefs. Just gently guide our minds back to the positive, empowering messages we want to reinforce.
Exactly. And for those who want to explore even more rapid transformation, there's a fascinating field called energy psychology that Lipton speaks to.
I've heard about that. It uses techniques like EFT or
Right.
tapping
Right.
to shift those deep-seated patterns. Have you ever tried it?
I have, and many people find it surprisingly effective. It involves tapping on specific meridian points on the body
Okay.
while focusing on the issue you want to address.
So it's like sending a signal directly to the subconscious, bypassing the conscious mind altogether.
In a way, yes. It's like hitting the reset button on those old programs that are no longer serving you.
If you're curious, I encourage you to explore it further.
This entire deep dive has been like upgrading our mental operating systems.
It is.
We've gone from feeling like victims of our genes to empowered creators of our reality.
And as we conclude this exploration, I have a question for our listeners to ponder.
If you could reprogram your subconscious mind to support your biggest dreams and aspirations,
What incredible possibilities would you unleash in your life?
that's a powerful question to sit with. And if you're feeling inspired to, dive deeper into Dr. Bruce Lipton's work,
And explore these empowering concepts further, you'll find a treasure trove of resources on his website.
Remember, the power to change your life is literally at your fingertips. Or should I say, in your mind.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey of self-discovery. Here's to rewriting our limiting beliefs and creating a future that's even more amazing than we ever thought possible. Until next time, on The Deep Dive.